Welcome. It's time for Startup Fundraising Office Hours. It's the free show for you. Who? You, founders, entrepreneurs, the people that are building the next wave of products and services. They're going to make the world a better place. Hi, I'm Scott Fox. I'm the CEO of the Startup Council. We're here tonight to help you advance your business. Maybe talk about some fundraising, some strategy questions, the obstacles that are slowing your growth. Who is us? Us is the Startup Council. StartupCouncil.org is a community service group that I founded that operates worldwide. We're helping entrepreneurs from all over the world level up, building on-ramps to the internet economy, the digital economy, the world that you want to be participating in if you're going to make something big that puts your dent in the universe. Why? Well, I believe that entrepreneurs are the world's best shot at improving things. You know, the politicians aren't going to do it. So the entrepreneurs among us need to step out and make some noise. We need to get together, build the networks, build the relationships that you need to raise the money you need to bring your ideas out of your head and out into the world. We're here to help you every month during Startup Fundraising Office Hours. And I'm here tonight to have you join me live. We're on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn Live. And if you're there, please tell your friends and come on in. We're going to be bringing out the chat room and having everybody talk to each other and share your opinions and advice for each other. Because honestly, I don't have all the answers. I've been doing this a long time, but I don't have all the answers any more than anyone does, right? I'm just some guy you met on the internet. So welcome to Startup Fundraising Office Hours, and we're here to help. So what we're going to be doing tonight is taking questions from the audience and having people come on camera if they want to practice their pitches or if they've submitted questions. And I'll be trying to help them based on my decades of experience. So why am I the one with the microphone? Well, that's a legitimate question. I'm the guy that's running the show, and I've taken the initiative to try to build a community around accelerating early stage startup entrepreneurship. So welcome to the party. And this is the focus of most of my career at this point. I've been an internet entrepreneur since the 90s. I raised my first venture round of funding for my first company back during .com 1.0. And now we're on .com, I don't know, 3.0 or maybe even 4.0. And I've been doing it ever since. So I've had some wins, some losses, and along the way, I've helped and met a lot of entrepreneurs all over the world. And the Startup Council is the organization that I created to help you join the party. I've written these books behind me here, over here. The three in the middle are in English. The others are all foreign translations, Russian and Japanese, Vietnamese, Turkish, Polish, and so on. So if you're here because you've read one of my books, welcome. I'm working on a new book that is specifically about how to raise money. So keep your eyes open for that. And today we're going to be taking your questions and comments, like I said, so that we can help you advance your startup dreams. There's a lot to be learned, and I'm here to help share with you the benefits of my expertise over decades of doing this. Since I graduated from Stanford in the mid-90s, I've been an internet guy ever since. So I've seen a lot of things, done a lot of deals. I'm an active angel investor in over 30 companies now, and an LP in a bunch of different funds, and basically trying to find opportunities that more than scale. And that's really the thesis of venture capital type investors. Every type of entrepreneurship is valid, but we're really looking for hyper growth opportunities. That's what VC investors and angel investors, which is what I am, are looking for. So it's a special kind of language, a special way of thinking about the world and of evaluating business opportunities. And I want to help you figure out how to do that too. That's what we're doing tonight. So we got some people coming in the back room to join us, and they're going to be doing their pitches and so forth. And I want to bring in, let's turn on the chat. We'll get people coming in and saying hello from all over the world. If you're checking in, please let me know where you're from. Mark and Tandika and Vamsi and Niten and Abdul. And you're welcome, Abdul. Happy to help. That's why we're here. And honestly, that is why the Startup Council is here. This is an organization that I built. I've got other things I could be doing, obviously, right? But I'm trying to help level up everybody. I came from modest means and have managed to make myself kind of an insider now. And I'd encourage you to take the advantage of what we're offering here at startupcouncil.org and go and join. There are 7 different newsletters, email newsletters you can get that can help you find investors, that can help you find events to attend, that can help you, well, kind of everything that I was missing when I was a first-time entrepreneur. So I've tried hard to build all that for you so that you can level up and get farther faster. All right, so Laval is here, and Doug from Toronto, and Kelvin also from Canada, Omid from Orange County, and let's see, Ace Digital Productions from Las Vegas, and Cape Town. All right, great. All over the world tonight. And I can see backstage, we've got a Matthew and a Professor G. They're going to be joining me on camera here in a second. And I'd encourage the rest of you, if you are watching on LinkedIn, come over to YouTube and subscribe. And most of all, we'd really appreciate your likes and comments on LinkedIn and on YouTube, because this is all social media algorithm driven, right? And I don't make any money doing this. This is honestly a community service. But when we do it, it takes a lot of planning, more than you'd realize, and more promotion, and then follow up and blah, blah, blah. And I have a team, of course, and we'd love your support in spreading the word so we can help more people. That's the idea. More people can be helped. So people like Monica from Dubai, and Niten is from Laguna Niguel, and Nick from Palm Beach, Florida. And yes, some questions are coming in here. And Jagdish from India. We're in India, Jagdish. We're doing it, as a good point, actually. Guifeng Rick from San Diego. I'm doing it at night. This is nighttime for me, right? I could definitely be doing other things, but I'm doing this at night now. I've done it for years at lunchtime for me when it was most easy. But what I've started doing lately is doing them in the evening. Why? So I can help you guys in India and Australia, in the Middle East, trying to reach other markets, right? There's so much knowledge here in Silicon Valley, and most people don't share it. So I'm here to try to share with you, and I'm taking time on a Tuesday night to try to help you guys during your business day. So we'd really appreciate whatever likes or subscribes or references that you have to your friends. Bring your friends in. You can invite your friends to join us right now. In fact, we're live on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Of course, you can come find me on LinkedIn and say hello, and follow the Orange County, the Startup Council as well. All right, so we're about to get in, and I'm going to bring on a couple of our friends. It looks like some of those people, at least one of them I saw, Omid, you're at the wrong link. You sent in a question or a pitch, right? So you need to go to the Backstage link. Go look at the sign up again on Eventbrite, and you can get the link, because I can't bring you on camera to pitch if you're in the public chat room, right? You need to be backstage like some of our other friends. And that's a different link, which apparently Matthew and Professor G figured out. So I'm going to bring them on here in just a second. But I just have to say a couple things. First of all, this is not qualified legal or financial advice. Please consult your own advisors. This is free advice. I'm just doing my best to try to help you, but I don't know you, and I don't know your situation. I don't know your business. So trying to help you and point you in the right direction, but you definitely should consult your own professional advisors, all right? Don't take this too seriously. This is for entertainment purposes only. Also, this is being recorded and will be shared online worldwide. So please don't say anything too confidential or anything stupid, and because it will be located in the replays potentially forever, right? So that's how the internet works, and YouTube. And speaking of that, if you have questions, and if you're one of those people who's watching this later and you're watching it on YouTube, you can comment on YouTube and we'll follow up and try to answer your questions. So this is not just a once a month show. This is a kind of a all the time we're trying to help you sort of business, right? Not even business, service. So if you want to go over to YouTube or LinkedIn, even tomorrow or next week or even next month, and ask something, I will try, and my team will try to help you. So that's what we're doing, and that's the vibe. Okay, so I hope this sounds like you're in the right place. And thank you, Tandika, for getting up early in Cape Town. Yes, it's early side, right? We're hitting midday in India and Australia this time. So okay, so yes, if you can come online, Vamsi, the RSVPs for the online were already distributed. Those are in people's inboxes already. You have to send it a question in advance. Otherwise, I just get overwhelmed. And I already have a list of things, and we're going to talk to the people who are backstage. So I apologize for that. But we will also go through questions in the chat. Okay, so Vamsi, if you want to put a question in the chat, I'll try to address that as well. All right, so let's get going. Enough pencil sharpening. Let's get going here. And I'm going to bring on some of our friends from backstage, and we're going to ask them just real quickly what they want to talk about. And then I'll try to pull together a quick little agenda. And like I said, we'll take questions from the chat room as well. So go ahead and post questions there. But I'm going to bring on and invite Professor G and Matthew. If you want to come on, you got to turn your camera back on. I saw you a minute ago.
Hi, Scott. Hi, everyone.
Hey there. And there's Matthew. Okay. So we've got 3 of you anyway. Hey, guys. So nice. It's all guys tonight, it looks like. All right. So we got to get some of you ladies next time. So nice to meet all of you. Welcome. Can you all smile?
Welcome. Actually, likewise.
Matthew, can you back up? There you are. Okay. I see it all in your nose.
That's all right. Let's try this one. And I promise someone, shout out to Sales Bricks.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, nice to see you guys. Can you give me a wave? We'll just take a picture and Share that around later. All right. Awesome. Good to see you guys. All right. So I just want to ask each of you what you want to talk about. Just give me the super quick version, and then I'll come back to you once we figure out what the order is. Okay. So let's see. Who's who here? Matthew, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah.
Real quick. Where are you, and what do you want to ask about?
Yeah. So for me, I'm Matt. I'm the founder and CEO of Cypher. We're a job tech startup based here in Silicon Valley. I'd actually signed up to give like a mini pitch
Okay.
here on site, and as well to I guess ask some insights on the pitch. I guess.
Perfect. Okay. We'll come back to that in a couple minutes. You're in the right place. We'll kind of alternate those with the questions. So who else do we have here? We've got. Sorry, I don't know all your names. Professor G. That's this gentleman here. Hey there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mauricio Gonzalez. I'm a college professor and counselor at Sacramento City College, and I wanted to take a couple minutes to share the technology I've built to ensure that students make it through the college and university pipeline and onto the workforce.
Very cool. Okay. That was a pitch practice as well. You emailed in, right? I got
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So we'll do that. Excellent. So we got 2 pitches, and then that leaves us with our third contestant tonight is Omid. Hello, Omid.
Hello, my name is Omid. I'm in Orange County, California, and I graduated with my PhD in aerospace, but then I just realized something that I can just do in entertainment industry. So I just came up with the idea of a cross-platform AI-driven solution that is just integrated a lot of things into it. So it's just like a pitch practice here, basically. Me and 3 of my friends that are just also PhD graduate, we started developing this app. And yes.
Okay. Great. All right. So we got 3 pitches then. That's pretty straightforward. Easy enough. Okay. So I'm gonna turn you guys off for a second. And I'll bring you back on in order. Okay. In just a minute. So that's what we've got to start with tonight is pitches, which would be great. If any of the rest of you have questions, you can put those in the chat room, and also you can answer each other's questions. One of the superpowers of this, internet thing is that you can talk to each other. I'm not trying to hog the airtime. I'm just kind of the host of the party, but you all are welcome to talk to each other. You can post your LinkedIn. Actually, I'll put mine up there too. If I'm not linked in with you, go ahead and say hello. Where is it? There we go. You can follow the Startup Council, and you can follow me personally, and we'll connect. Please, if you're greeting me personally, put a line in there about how we know each other, because I try to screen people that they're actually real people. So if you just say, I saw you at Startup Office Hours, that's cool. That would help me find you guys. All right. So go ahead and talk to each other in the chat room. I'm not hogging the airtime. I'm just trying to help. And especially once the pitches start, please offer them feedback. Okay. So here's well, let me run through the chat room real quick, and then we'll do the pitches. Let's see if I missed anything. Looks like it's working. Apparently everybody can hear me. That's good. We've got people here from YouTube and LinkedIn, which is great because sometimes that doesn't work. So we're batting 1,000 so far. So I'm going to run through the chat room. What did I miss? See if anything's on fire here. Okay. So hello, Tandika and Mark and Nithen. And okay, so Nithen has a question. Okay, that's a good one, Nithen. So stick around. He or she wants to talk about where does a startup have to be in terms of product and traction to engage angel investors? That's, you know what, Nithen, why don't we do that first? Because that will set the context for our friends who are going to pitch. Because that's a really good question. All right, but hold on. Let me just see what else is hiding here in the chat room. Hello from Toronto and Palm Beach. Let's see, India, DC, Hyderabad, excellent. Cape Town, okay, on YouTube. Lake Forest, hi Ruby, excellent. Okay, good. Okay, well, let's start with Nithen's question, because that is kind of sets the stage for everything. So Nithen, and I apologize, I don't know how to say that, but I'll go ahead and I'll pretend I know how to say it. So where does a startup have to be in terms of product and traction to engage angel investors? This is, I just mentioned I'm writing a new book, right? This is like half the book, because there are different answers in different situations, blah, 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 okay? But I'm trying to summarize this, and I'll share with you kind of some of the insights I'm coming with from the book. Here you go. A startup can't just have an idea. Those days are over. It's too easy to start a startup now with just an idea. Anybody can do that. And in fact, anybody can build a website or maybe even use AI and generate something that looks pretty cool without investors. So this is good news for those of you who are startup founders, because you don't need as much money to get started. So maybe you don't even need investors. So I would seriously think about that, right? The paradigm has shifted. Like 20 years ago, you could kind of, maybe if you had an idea and you were smart and work hard, maybe you could raise some money. These days, an idea is not enough, but you may not need the money. So things are different, right? Like, think about what you're doing in terms of how can you do this most cost effectively, because that's what investors are going to want to see regardless. So where does a startup have to be in terms of product and traction? Well, it depends on the angel investor, right? If the angel investor is your mom or your cousin or your rich uncle, they're going to be much more sympathetic to you. If it's an angel investor you've never met, well, then they're going to be more like a venture capitalist or a bank, in the sense of trying to really make sure you're hitting some numbers that look like a legitimate growth opportunity. Why? Because they don't know you. They don't trust you the way a family member angel would. So you've got to start looking like an investable opportunity, right? Are you going to make them money? That's really what people are after. Are you going to make them money? And so let me give a couple quick more responses, and then we'll get to the pitches. But in terms of product and traction, first of all, the product is really important, but the product isn't as important as the business. Most entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs especially, that I see pitch, they are understandably obsessed with the product, and they need to be, because that's what they're building, right? They have an idea about something that nobody else is doing, or at least not doing as well, and maybe has never done. And that's, it's the key for them that's going to unlock everything. So of course they want to talk about the product. But time out. Angel investors, we're not really interested in your product. We're interested in your business. The business. How are we going to make money, right? So this leads to the second part of this question, traction. So what's traction? Traction is progress. What are you doing that is demonstrating momentum? So the easiest way to demonstrate momentum is to have, of course, revenue, right? If you have a bunch of sales and you're growing real fast, that's wonderful traction. You probably won't have trouble finding investors of any sort if you can demonstrate that there's a clear path to profitability, and that for every dollar I put in, I'm going to get 5 or 10 or 50 back. That's what investors are looking for. Full stop. But if you don't have that, what do? Well, you still need a good product, but the secret sauce is, drum roll, talk to customers. You need to show me that customers care about what you're doing, not just you, and not just your mom or your rich uncle, but that customers are interested in the solution and that they're willing to pay for it. So if the thing isn't ready and it's going to take a whole bunch of money and time, you're in this chicken and egg situation. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That's life. You've got to figure out a way to talk to enough customers that it looks like you have momentum anyway. So what do investors want to see? We want to see a product that's working and that customers are excited enough to want to pay for. That's what you need to attract angel investors. The more they're actually paying for it, the better. But that can be a slow start, right? So you back up. What can you do? You can demonstrate traction by doing a customer survey, or talking to a bunch of customers, or getting people to sign up on a mailing list for pre-orders. There's lots of different ways. I'll talk about all this more in my book, but there are ways to kind of, fake is the wrong word, but kind of baby traction, I guess, baby steps, right? And you need to demonstrate a bunch of those and keep communicating with investors so that you can build a relationship enough that they start to trust you and see that you're making progress. They'll start to trust you the way your mom or your rich uncle would. That's how an angel investor will invest. So you've got not just an idea, not just a product, but a business that is developing and showing some kind of momentum and traction, ideally with customers, ideally making money. That's kind of the path, okay? So this will set up our friends who are going to do the pitches here, but that's kind of the context for what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to listen to Omid and Michael and Mauricio talk about their companies, and we'll give them some feedback, okay? So everybody stick around. Let's do this together, and we'll have some feedback for them. I will listen to them, and you guys in the chat room as well, please give them feedback. We don't have time to debate whether it's a good idea or not. That's a deeper strategic discussion, but we're going to keep these under 2 minutes. Okay, guys, just a minute or two, kind of give us the concept, and then I'll try to give you some tips on what you could or should say better, or what you missed. that kind of constructive stuff about the format of the presentation. And everybody in the chat room, you're invited to do that as well. That's how we can help each other. Okay. So let's do a couple of these, and I can see more questions coming in here from Vamsi and and Aaron, and okay, we'll get to those as well. All right, so guys backstage, let's see who should we have first. Let's see who's in a weird time zone. Two of you you're all in California, actually, aren't you? Okay, so you're all in my time zone. Okay, so that's easy. All right, well, let's start with Mauricio, just for kicks, because he's at the top of my list.
And first time I'm using this platform, Scott. So would I have to go ahead and share here?
Okay, so sorry, no, these are verbal pitches only. So I didn't say that part. So we're just doing a couple minutes. I've tried that, and it's a fair point, and I apologize I didn't say that. The whenever we start sharing and stuff, things break, right? So we're just kind of gonna do, if you want to stop, I'll go to somebody else while you think about that. But the idea is just hit some bullet points, kind of like your elevator pitch. And hopefully that'll give enough context for feedback from me in the audience. Is that okay? Or do you want me to go to somebody else?
The more practicing, the better. I've learned over the years of.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you're a professor, so you speak for a living, right? Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we have Mauricio from Sacramento, and he's going to tell us about Inspirame. I think I'm saying that right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mauricio Gonzalez. I'm a college counselor and professor for the last 22 years in the largest system of higher education in America, the California community colleges. Unfortunately, what's happening in our workforce today is causing massive deficiencies due to the lack of students completing college. If you didn't know this already, the California Community Colleges has 2 million students that are currently enrolled. 80% of those 2 million every single year have a transfer to university goal. Unfortunately, the success rates for transfer students from community colleges to public four-year and private four-year universities is only 21% after the student attends community colleges for 4 years. So in other words, our largest system of higher education is hemorrhaging students. We lose 79% of our students over 4 years. Now, what does that cause? That causes massive workforce deficiencies. California's economy, which is the 4th largest in the world, is now currently 1.5 million bachelor's degrees short of economic demand. And it's mostly because students cannot figure out how to make it through the largest, most accessible system of higher education, which is the California community colleges. Now, I've been in the industry for over 22 years. I know the people, I know the politics, I know the students, I know the obstacles. So what I did is I developed Inspírame, and Inspírame is a Spanish word for inspire me, because if we can inspire people, we can have them climb mountains up that salary track, up that workforce, levels, etc., up those degree and certificate levels. So my platform is called Techo Guide. It's a cool owl with sunglasses, because that's how I show up to work, to meet my students where they're at, so we can have real conversations about how they specifically are going to make it through any certificate and college degree program that's offered through the largest system of higher ed. What we built is a free platform that's open to the public. There's 2 pieces to our company: exposure and guidance. We have 25,000 followers on social media that have left over 100,000 comments on how we are helping them while colleges let them struggle and drown. Please follow us on Techo Guide, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and on Facebook, Facebook Meta, because you'll then see the types of content and the types of information that not only our company provides the public for free, but also provides the Techo Guide platform to literally show students and that means prospective and current students that are in high school, college, or university, how to successfully navigate a bachelor's degree the most affordable way possible. So the one promise we give our students is we're going to tell you the truth on what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and what to take in order for you to finish your college degree that way. I not only live this,
Mauricio, we're about out of time. That was very, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody in the chat room, obviously he's a good talker. He knows his stuff. So that's always helps, right? And if you have suggestions for him, would love to hear what you think he could do differently or better. Not so much like this is a good idea or a bad. Well, if it's a good idea, I'm sure you'd like to hear that. But this is more like about like what could be different about the pitch, like what's missing, right? So I'll start there. And you're obviously well spoken. You have a nice way about you, and that's a big benefit, right? It's a blessing to be fluent in English, right?
Absolutely.
So I would say you fell right into the trap that I talked about. You talked all about the product and zero about the business. I didn't hear anything about money. So if investors, so it was a good pitch, but that was more like a sales pitch, right? Not an investor pitch. So I would turn that around. And if you had 2 more minutes, I would want to hear the only numbers I heard were about the social media share. Well, no, you had a bunch of numbers at the beginning, like the retention rates were very interesting, right? That you identified the problem solution nicely, right? The churn is massive. And that clearly represents a problem. And for those who don't know, problem solution is a very common framework for these kind of pitches, right? But you need to get to the problem solution, therefore money, faster. People, I think, would identify with that, and you come with a lot of credibility given your history in the system. So that's great. But I would want to hear, how does that translate into the target market? Like, how many of those students are there that you think are reachable? And then what would they pay, or who's paying, right? I don't even know, right? Is it even software? I presume it's software, but you didn't say that, right? So, well, you kind of did, but, and I have to apologize for butchering Inspirame. I said inspirame.
Inspírame.
Inspírame. Okay, sorry. All right, my apologies. Inspírame is much prettier. But then what was the other word you had? Techno grade?
And our platform, so Inspírame builds education technology to unclog the pipelines. The guidance platform that's open to the public for free is called Techo Guide.
Techo Guide. Okay, so well, that would be easier for some of us to say properly. Anyway.
But I'm here. Thank you for the feedback. I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. Now I wish I would have gone 3rd or 4th because you would.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, if we run out of questions, we'll have you back, or you can come back next month.
Sure.
But that's the idea. Like, get to the business faster, and then we'll know better whether we're interested or not. Because the problem is pretty. You've got that, and then it sounds like you have a solution as well. But entrepreneurs want to get caught up talking about what they're building.
Yeah. And how many customers we have, how much revenue we're bringing in.
Yeah.
What our projections look like here in the near future.
That's absolutely right. And then last piece, and you don't have to be firm on this, is what are you asking for, right? Never take an opportunity like this without asking, because you never know who's listening. And he did a good job, everybody. He did a good job. You notice how he tossed in follow us on socials, right? That was smart, right? Because this is an audience, right? So always take the opportunity to promote your stuff. And part of that would be at the end, we're looking for whatever, $2 million, blah, 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 whatever, that kind of thing. And even if you're not looking for money, as he may not be, at this point, I don't know, because he didn't get there.
Oh, we are.
Okay. Well, all right. But you can, even if you're not, you can always say, we're looking for, we're trying to hire this kind of person. Or if anybody knows anybody at Coca-Cola or NASA, like target customers, you can ask for connections and advisors. And it's always a good idea to milk the audience, essentially. So great. Well, thank you. Nice to meet you. And we're going to move on to our next contestant here. And that was Professor G from Sacramento. A couple comments in the chat room. Ruby says, Mauricio, I would suggest to talk about how you make money and what's your ask. Well, there you go. Ruby nailed it. I know Ruby. She's a neighbor, so we go to the same meetups, it sounds like. So okay. And then Aaron says, how is Techo Guide different from the academic advisors already counsel? Oh, that's a good one. So a differentiation question. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that would be worth addressing as well. Okay. So and anybody else that has questions, you can, comments, put them in the chat. And Mauricio, you might put in the, if you want to leave the backstage and go out to the public chat, you could enter your LinkedIn or your URL or something like that. Okay. All right. So Pradeep, yes. Okay, great. You want to practice your pitch as well? Can you just type in the message there in the backstage chat what your company is? Because I don't think you RSVP'd, right? So I don't know who you are. Can you tell me a little bit about what you want to talk about in the backstage there? All right. So let's go on to, let me just see if we got any new questions that I want to address here, because I thought I saw a follow-up from Niten, because let's see here. All right, where'd it go? Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to scroll down here. well, let me just, oh, there it is. Niten says, what is the best resource? What is the best resource one can access to identify angel investors interested in the space I'm focused on? So that's a great question. This is the number one question I get for years, and I've been doing this a long time. This is always the question. So thank you for asking it. There is no good answer. Angel investors are private, right? I'm more public than most because I write books and stuff, right? And I run this startup council. Most angel investors, you don't know they're there. So it's really hard to find them. So what I would suggest, here's a couple, again, this will be in my book. Look at your local universities. There's usually some kind of angel program associated with them. Google your town name or your county or your city, whatever, and angel group. There are usually angel groups, at least in most major cities. Here where we live, I think you said you were here in Orange County as well. Tech Coast Angels. I belong to Tech Coast Angels. We're the largest angel group on the West Coast, probably in America. It's about 400 of us. And we look at all kinds of stuff. So do your research. Google is your friend and look for angels. And those are two great places, universities and then angel groups. And then another one is to look for something about you. If you have any personal characteristics that are distinguishing about you, like you're a woman, right? Or you're a veteran, or you're an immigrant, or you're Black, or you're Chinese, anything, right? And look for angel groups that invest in that. Traditionally, angel groups were all geographical because everybody kind of invested within about an hour of their house, right? But because of one of the few good things that came out of COVID is that we can do this, right? So now angel groups are global, and you can find investors who may be interested. There are angel groups that only invest in women and only invest in veterans and only invest in people who went to the University of Kentucky or whatever it is, right? So again, Google is your friend. The other answer I have, because I get this question so often, is, I'm going to put this on the screen. We built this for you. There is a directory of startup investors, believe it or not, called startupinvestorsdirectory.com. And I built this for you guys. So this has about 3,000 early stage investors from all over the world, and it delineates their investment thesis, where they're located, their contact information, and their portfolio, what they invest in, what they don't invest in, all this stuff, and it's all searchable. So we built this for you. That's one of the services of the Startup Council. It's not free. We have to cover our costs because it took years to build. But it's, I think, well, that's a free promo code, I think. So it's free for you, I guess. But it's normally $79, $99. It's not $10,000. Like PitchBook, for those of you who don't know, the number one resource, the real answer to Nithen's question is there's a resource called PitchBook, pitchbook.com. And it costs so much that they won't even say on the website how much it costs. It's between $10,000 and $15,000 a year, which is ridiculous for early stage founders because, of course, they're not targeting early. They're not trying to help anybody. They're trying to make money, and their customers are investment bankers and people like that, right? So they're not trying to help you. So we are. So startupinvestorsdirectory.com might be useful to you guys. And that code, I don't know if I guess it's free. Yeah. All right. So good for you. Welcome. Okay. So next up, we're going to do another pitch, and then I'll get back to some more. Okay. So Pradeep, no, you're in the right place. Just talk in that chat room right here and tell me what your company pitch is about, please. And I'll bring you on if I can. Thomas, we don't have more time. This is going to run out, and everybody, you need to RSVP before the show, right? I usually take these things at least 24, if not 48 hours in advance. Sorry, it's just too hard to do, in real time. So if you want to prep for next month, I'm happy to have you on. So Matthew, yes, would you like to be up next? He just asked me backstage. If that's a yes, then we'll bring you on. Okay, here comes Matthew. How do we do this? Here we go. Bang. There he is.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, there we go. All right, go ahead. So 2 minutes, no slides, just talk, and we'll give you some friendly feedback. How's that sound?
Great.
Okay, hit it whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, thanks, y'all. My name is Matthew Gabriel. I'm the founder and CEO of Cypher. We are a job tech startup based here in Silicon Valley, and we're looking to change the way that staffing sorry for the stuttering, but change the way that staffing is done for small companies and manufacturers throughout the United States. right now, as far as per May of 2025, there have been about 150,000 layoffs across various different sectors. Many job seekers are looking for work, but in spite of that, many are also my sincere apologies all. Many are also going through difficulty in searching for jobs due to phenomena such as ghost jobs and fake job postings. BL statistics for the previous year determined that as many as 24 million job seekers have fallen victim to such scams, and they're estimated to have cost the job market at least 50 billion in essentially damages. And despite this, there's not been a lot of mobility from the market to address these needs. We are looking to my sincere apologies.
Okay, that's why you practice. No worries. Tell me about the business, though. That was all product. Tell me about the business.
Got it. So we at Cipher are currently building a AI-powered job platform that will help keep scammers and other spoofery out of the interactions between job seekers and the firms seeking to hire them. We are currently have a platform in development, and we're looking to get something released by end of Q2 2025. Right now, we already have some existing partnerships with companies such as the LMS Startup Learning based out of Atlanta, as well as several other nonprofit and business entities. But we're looking to forge new partnerships with those in the job tech space, as well as those who might wish to work in our verticals. Feel free to contact us. Our social media is scant but building, but we are on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And we're also coming up with our new site, which is Spectacle Media Holdings at .com, which will be live soon.
Okay, well, there we go. Right on time.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for your pace, especially given my unexpected stutter.
Yeah, no worries. Well, that's why we do this. It's not easy to do. It's hard, right? So doing it in front of a bunch of people you don't know is hard. So I don't be embarrassed at all. That this is how it works. That's why you practice. So kudos to you for being brave enough to practice, right? So sounds like an interesting opportunity. Again, a lot about the product, not much about the business. So we want to hear the money, right? You didn't talk about how much money you're going to make, how many customers there are, what they're going to pay. Both you and Mauricio, if you're still listening, there's a question for both of your type of companies. Who is the customer, right? You don't have to answer me now, but is the customer an individual? Is this a direct to consumer play, or is it school districts, or is it employers, or is it, I don't know, right? So that will help investors understand your business a lot better, like who you're actually selling to. Because if you're selling direct to consumer, that's a different, approach. You'd have a lot of money for consumer branding and marketing. Like you need to buy Super Bowl commercials someday, as opposed to like B2B, where you're talking maybe to partners, like you said, maybe you're going that route because you have a bunch of partners, and they would do some reselling for you, right? So those are different angles that investors like to hear about. So I wanted to applaud you for that, because the traction you have, you mentioned, which I think maybe there's more, but so it's early stage in development. Yeah, but you have some partners that, to our earlier topic, that's traction, right? Like people other than you think it's a good idea. That's big, right? It's not 0 to 1 is the hard part. So if other people are interested, that's good. So I would talk more about that and how that's going to lead to the money. And other than that, a little more practice and you'll get it. Don't worry. Let's see what the chat room says. Anybody else have comments here?
Especially on LinkedIn land or elsewhere. I think we're coming all around the world. Hello, Z from Sweden. And Matthew. Hello, Trevor.
Yeah, there you go. So if you guys have comments for Matthew, go ahead or Matt, go ahead and chime in. And I think you're on the way, right? So just practice. And here's the thing I do. If I'm going to do a pitch, I try to have a few bullet points. And if first timers will try to write like on note cards and memorize it, and then you'll get flustered and you'll lose it, right? Give yourself like 3 or 4 bullet points And then depending on how much time you have, you can kind of expand or contract them, So your points are like, what's the problem? What's the solution? Why us? And how we're going to make money. And then like make sure each of those is no more than 30 seconds if you have 2 minutes. If you have 6 minutes, then they can be a minute and a half each, right? Because this stuff, you can kind of expand and get kind of an accordion, That's the way I think about pitches anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Scott. I really appreciate the advice.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful to you. Hope to see you again. Please like and share and all that stuff. trying to do our best to help. And yeah, come over to startupcouncil.org. I guess you might be on our email list anyway if you're here. But if you're not, come on over. All right, let's. Who's going to be next? Omid is. Do we do Omid? Yeah, Omid is next, right? And then we can do Praep. So let's look at the chat room again here. Let's see if any comments came in there. Okay, Ruby, I see your question. Vamsi, I'll get to you as well. Let me just. Yeah, Tandika, I agree with that comment. Okay, looks like Trevor and Vamsi are talking to each other. That's fine. Go ahead, guys. Somebody's talking to an AI angel investor. Oh, that's interesting. Look here, I'll put that up just in case anybody knows more than that. I've been talking to NoCap, first AI agent that's an angel investor. So I'm not sure what that means, but if that looks interesting to you, go check it out. Thanks for sharing that. And then Sweden and South Africa. Yeah, good. Got a nice global. Yeah, and just memorize bullet points. Don't memorize. Right. Oh, okay. That's exactly. LinkedIn user. I don't know who you are, but we think alike. All right, cool. So let's go on to Omid, and then I will come back to some of these other questions. And let's see. Yes, no cap. Was that it? Can LinkedIn user or whoever put that in there? Put that up again. I'm going to bring Omid in to talk to us, and he's going to tell us about his entertainment aggregator. Hey, Omid.
Hello, everyone. My name is Omid, and I'm in Orange County, California. And I wanted to talk about my idea and pitch my idea to you guys. So I'm going to start telling you who I am myself, because I think that's the most important part, more than even the product. Who am I? Am I capable of doing that or no? So I just got my, I have 2 masters and a PhD in aerospace engineering. I was focused on computational mechanics, multi-scale modeling of materials from quantum to continuum level. Then all of a sudden, when I was just graduated from PhD, I just was trying to enjoy entertainment. And then I realized, although I'm a tech savvy and I've just spent all of my life coding, it takes me a lot of time to just find the good movie or something that would just entertain me or just capturing. I would just start watching a movie, and after half an hour, it was just I realized I was watching the garbage. So all of a sudden, just I realized that there's a lot of potential. I have already started 5 startups. 2 of them were just went bankrupt or just didn't work out. 2 of them actually just got to a point that I just made more than $1 million revenue, but it was back in my country. So then I moved to US. I finished my education, and then I came up with this idea. But this idea became more interesting, and this is a patent pending idea. It's just going to be patented. We just fight for the patent. The whole point of this idea, other than being aggregated, it was just going to be content extracted. So whenever you're just watching a movie or something, and you see someone is wearing a nice suit or wearing a very nice watch, the app just goes and grabs and just tells you what is the thing, what is the watch that person is wearing, or what is the suit that person is wearing, and it will just give it to you. Or if they're talking about something that you don't know anything about, the app would just goes and just the AI would just recognize what they're talking to you and will list all the relevant products. What makes this interesting from business point of view is just because 99% of the US households pay at least one streaming service, and they're just paying $46 per month. And this is right now is just at $544 billion of streaming, and it will just grow to 1.9 trillion by 2030. So it's just and this is just video, and I'm not talking about the video. It's just goes over the music, video, games, and food and grocery deliveries, and books. So all of them together, if you're talking about $1 trillion market that you're talking about, and it has 8% growth per year, which is amazing.
We're out of time, Omid. So same idea. Sounds fascinating. Way too much about the problem in the market, not enough about the business. You were just getting to it, right? So yeah. It takes practice. I hear you were warming up, but everybody does this, so don't feel bad. People warm up. They do all this warm up. Just get to it. This is business, right?
Yeah.
Tell us. We're going to make $1 billion in 3 years. Go. Right?
That's true, yeah.
So especially if you have a very impressive academic background, right? You're used to a lot of proof points, right? Step, 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 conclusion. Turn it around. Tell me the headline and then back it up. I think that would be useful for you as an engineer, right? You're a very logical thinker, but give me the conclusion, and then you can impress me with the backup. So I'm sorry to cut you off. It just it sounded like you're going the right way, and you're smart enough. So I'm sure you were about to tell me the numbers, but what we really need is unit economics. What you have, you're blessed by having a problem that is more obvious to people than our previous two pitchers, Matthew or Mauricio. Because like you said, everybody subscribes to streaming services, right? And we all think we're paying too much. So you're not going to have to explain that a lot, right? Just kind of toss it out there. You don't need to defend that. That's not your PhD thesis, right? Everybody's going to agree, right? Like, this sucks. Okay, you got an answer? Great. Who's the customer? How does it make money? When? That's what we need.
Yeah, I have my business plan in front of me, and I was just like reading through that. So I didn't have enough time to just like get to there. But yeah, we just like did an Uber, just like kind of a thing, handout, and just like get some sort of positive feedback initially, and that was the starting point for me. And then I just like two of my other friends that were just like PhD graduate in computer science and civil engineering. We started just like developing the MVP. We're almost 80% done. So. And we're aiming to just like, I think you're going to be like $1 billion, like in a year, something revenue, maybe soon.
Great.
Even if 1% of the market would just like be more than $1 billion.
Yes. Okay. But don't do that. Investors hate that. Don't take this the wrong way. That's a lazy way to calculate. Top down, like if we only have 1% of $1 zillion, we've got $1 zillion, right? Don't do that. Investors will walk away. You need to do it bottom up. We have this many customers over this amount of time. They cost this much to acquire. The average price is this with a gross margin of this. And like build it from the bottom. You're an engineer. You can do this, right? It's a very simple spreadsheet, but build it from the bottom up, and then I'll believe your numbers, right? Okay. That's a better way to do it. And it sounds like you've got more than got the chops to do that pretty easily. So
the only thing that I'm just going to mention is just like, should I just like, because we are not just like a subscription based kind of an app. So there's no hurdle or obstacle for the people to subscribe. It's just like free. We are just like going to get commissions from affiliate markets, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you need to.
And there are 15 ways of monetization that I just like came up with that you can just like do.
Yeah.
From merchandise sales, ads, freemium model with add-ons, like because we B2B, because we have an API that you will just like be able to sell data. Because all this data that I realized that all the data out there from the APIs are just like super unstructured. It's just all over the place. And we are organizing it in a way that not only just like for movies, for music, for video games, and books. And the last thing is just like a smart subscription, that it would just like the app would just like subscribe and unsubscribe automatically.
Right.
Just like gets to know who you are. We'll just like do that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, and it sounds like your team could do that. The normalization of that data would be a massive achievement. There's no doubt about it. And there might just be value in the data set, right? There might be a licensing business.
That's true. Yeah.
But let me caution you, you're smart enough to think of 15 business lines. Investors don't want to hear about 15 business lines. We want you focused. And I wouldn't even say, at least at first, that it's more than movies. Pick here's the maxim I use that will also be in my new book. What can make me the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least work? Pick that one and then beat the shit out of it and show everybody that it works. And then you can add this other revenue lines and other media and all this other stuff. Because as investors, when we hear we have 15 revenue lines and 4 different markets, we hear distraction, right? And you're going to have a tough time pursuing all those. So find one, improve it, like become the king of whatever the first one is, and then the money will flow, right? Because you figured it out, and then you can cookie cutter it across the other, both horizontal and vertical, and that would be amazing. So does that make sense?
One thing, like, I'm just going to ask for the last question. The only thing that we added the rest of like music and books was just like, because when you're just like watching a movie and you just like look for similar movies, you love a movie so much and just like saw, oh, what's the similar movies? And the movies are garbage. Again, the similar movies are garbage too. But maybe I want to just like see similar music or similar books. So the whole point of just like adding those things was just like like I was just like hoping of an AI agent that would just like go and just like grab all the contents from all these different things, and then we'll try to connect the movies with the music with the books based on the content and not just like based on the title or genre. That's why we just like included. But yeah, initially we are only focusing on movies only.
Yeah.
That's the initial part. The MVP is on movies only. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I hear you. If you have a new interpretation of the market, that's cool too, right? By which I mean, what you said makes sense if it doesn't require a whole bunch more work to also do the music and also do the clothes and also do the video game.
No, we're already done with 75% of the MVP, and we already included most of this stuff. Okay. Not to the depth, but yeah, just like the structure is already established. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, so maybe you've got a new way of looking at this that an AI agent approach can enable, because as you know, that's a crap load of data, right? Nobody was able to do that 5 years ago. If you can do it, defining a new market is a good way to be a billionaire.
But I was just like hoping that because it's going to be outside of, because out of the college, right after college, I started doing that because I had a background in like entrepreneurship. I started like 2 businesses. So I'm just like looking because I was hoping that I could just like attract investors. So that's the part that you can call us nerd or whatever, but we're just like stuck in where we can just like find the people that are right people and we can go and pitch it to them, because it has become very hard to get your foot on the door. And it's just like, they don't even give you enough time to just like even pitch your ideas in a way that they would just like show what you're trying to say. So that's where we are just like having problems basically.
Yeah. I agree. We're going to have to move on, but I will answer that question. And because we still got to get to Pradeep and some other questions. So I'm going to let you off camera, but I will answer that question. It's a good question. And congrats on the project you're making. What Omid is doing sounds pretty impressive, because, if he can do it for entertainment and media, he can do it for a lot of other things. So that's a pretty impressive team. So how do you find investors that are interested when none of them seem to be interested, especially if you don't have traction in your pre-product? It's a big problem, right? The answer is research. What you need to do is, this is another one of those things. I call it a Fox reversal. Founders want to spend, like I said, 80% of their time talking about the product and only 20% on the business. You got to flip that. Same thing with investors. You want to spend 80% of your time pitching and only 20% of your time researching them. You got to flip that. You got to reverse it. You got to spend 80% of your time just finding the right investors. Because if you get a bunch of no's, it doesn't necessarily mean that no one's interested. It means that you're in the wrong room. You didn't do enough research to be in the right room with people who are interested. Okay. So you got to do a lot more research, and don't waste your time or my time as an investor by pitching people who aren't interested. You got to double, triple down on research before the meeting. Figure out every investor that you want to talk to, or that you think you might want to talk to. What do they invest in? Not just that they invest in media or they invest in AI. That's not enough. They invest in agentic AI applied to media, or they invest in med tech devices to cure cancer of the veins or something, specific, right? Or they invest in women founders who live in the South who are doing things with beauty products. I don't, whatever it is. There are investors in almost every niche these days, and it's incumbent upon you as a founder to triple your research so that you don't waste your time, right? This is the biggest disconnect in the internet, in the startup ecosystem, is the amount of time that's wasted in matchmaking. So if you want to find the right investors, like I said, we built this thing, and it's not perfect, but I'll put it up again, Startup Investors Directory. I built this because I know that everybody has this question, and we built it so that all the investors that are listed there, it shows their portfolio. So what you need to do is go and use the search tool. So I'm an early stage company in aerospace software, and I want to find investors that do that, and then find some, and then look, what have they invested in? Find similar companies, right? And like, these guys made a bunch of money in a company that was kind of the equivalent of ours 10 years ago. Well, what does that mean? They made a bunch of money. They'll probably like to talk to us because we can make them more money doing the same thing. The pattern recognition you hear about with venture capitalists is exactly that. Find people who already did this. Or if you can't find VCs, think about companies that are active in your space and who started those companies and are now retired. Why? Because they got some money and they already know this stuff. They're going to give you the benefit of the doubt, like your rich uncle might, not because they know you like your uncle does, but because they understand the business. And if you spend your time pitching to investors who don't really do your industry, you're wasting your time. But if you can find people that already know your industry, it gives you a big step up. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. That's kind of my take on this. That'll be unpacked more in future videos and YouTube videos and this book I keep talking about. Okay, so let's talk through. Pradeep is still here. Pradeep, I hope you can hang on one more minute. It's kind of midday. I think are you in India? Because it's middle of the day there for you. So hopefully you're in India, and because everybody else on California is trying to go to bed. So let me just look at the chat room. Sure, thank you, Pradeep. Okay, cool. So Pradeep will be the finale, but let's just zoom through the chat room because I know there were a few other things here that I thought were interesting, and I promised to get to. Let's see. VAMC is volunteering to help connect businesses and investors. What's the procedure to start a company that pools money from small investors and invest in startups and other businesses? That's called a syndicate, VAMC. Let me just put that up for a second. It depends a lot on where you are. VAMC, are you in the States or are you? I don't know you. So the trick is that that's a legal question essentially. But conceptually, it's about, just as you said, pooling money, and you might call it a syndicate. In the States, those are often run on angellist.com, for example. Or you can just get a bunch of friends and start an email list or a WhatsApp group or something, right? And all agree to look at stuff. Or you can join organizations. And if I would recommend joining an organization, depending on where you are, again, you could find a local angel group, or if you are in India, okay, perfect. So you should join TIE. Do you know about TIE? TIE. And it's the Indus Entrepreneurs. It's in 50, 60 different companies. I'm a member of TIE myself. And we do all kinds of investing, a lot of it in Indian entrepreneurs and all other things. And if what city are you in, actually, Vamsi? Let me know about that too. But either way, if you're folks listening to from India tonight or this morning for you, then go and look at TIE. And there's all kinds. I was in Bangalore last month at their global summit and in Mysore. And great people and a great way to get connected as a banker or anyone who's interested in investing. That's TIE.org. All right, so that was a good one. Let's keep moving here. Bangalore. Well, I was in Bangalore. Yeah, okay, Vamsi. So yeah, it sounds like you weren't there, but I was. There were about 4,000 or 5,000 of us at the International Exhibition Center, and then we went to Mysore as well, Mysuru. So yeah, TIE.org has a very active chapter in Bangalore, and it sounds like you'd be a great fit. So I'd recommend that to you. Tell them I sent you. Okay, so Aaron says, angel investors seem to be focused on technology and life sciences. How to find angel investors to relaunch a patented golf tool swag item he sold to a bunch of tournament sponsors. So Aaron, that's a great question. The rest, it's too long to fit on the screen, but he says he gets into the details of the market size and the rest of his question, which you guys can't really see, which is that there are 800,000 golf tournaments every year with 64 million participants. So a huge growth opportunity and ROI. So that's the idea. And he says the time is now because it could leverage social media that he didn't have 20 years ago. Also good. So those are two things that I didn't say tonight, which you guys should pay attention to if this is helpful. One is point out why now. What has changed? If your idea is so good, why hasn't somebody done it already? Or why shouldn't you wait 2 or 3 or 5 more years? Why now? Because investors are looking, we have alternatives, right? Our money doesn't have to go to you. It can go in the stock market or another startup, or I can buy a new car, right? Like, why now? And of course, you already know we've covered why you and what the product is and that kind of stuff. But why now is a big one that investors are looking for. The other one is investors eat numbers. This is one of the themes from my new book, Investors Eat Numbers. And if you've heard every pitch tonight, I've been encouraging them to give me more numbers. If you don't feed us numbers, we starve. Investors need numbers. So you can't see it here on his pop-up here because the question's long, but he started quantifying it for me. There are 800,000 tournaments and 64 million participants. Oh, that's interesting. That's a market I'd never thought about. So I think it's a useful question, and it's a good way to think about it is to start quantifying it like that. So the answer is, how do you find angel investors? You're right. Most investors are not interested in golf swag. They're interested in high growth, hyper scaling opportunities, usually in life sciences or tech. Not because they're against golf. Most investors do play golf, at least here in the States. It's just that other things grow much faster. And a physical product, like you're talking about, takes manufacturing cost. And the unit economics are not as good as software generally. Because it costs you whatever $50 to make it, and you sell it for $100, and there's a bunch of distribution costs, and you'd be lucky to have a 20% or even 10% profit margin, right? Software can go like crazy, right? It might cost $1 million as opposed to maybe your $100,000 for your order of swag, but that $1 million, once it starts rolling, you can add new customers essentially infinitely with much higher profit margins. And the same thing with life sciences. If you can get the medical device or the new life science product through the FDA and into the market, it can be protected by patents. You've had a monopoly, and it can print money for many years. So you're right. The fact is, most investors aren't interested. So what do? Rewind the video, as I talked about 20 minutes ago. More research. It's not going to be easy because investors like me, we're all distracted by software. Software is much easier, right? Makes a lot more money faster. Why wouldn't we want that, right? I'm not interested in golf swag. Too much work, right? You got to ship stuff and print stuff and sell stuff, and then there's returns, and there's sales tax and all this stuff, right? So you need to make this look really easy with returns that look like a software growth hockey stick, and triple your research. Again, rewind. Look at what I was talking about before. Find people who play golf. A lot of rich people that play golf. That's you're in. Because they play golf. I presume you play golf. You're already friends, right? So you got to lean hard on that. I wouldn't bother going to most pitch competitions. I wouldn't bother coming to stuff like this even. I mean, I'm happy to help you, but this is mostly software, right? You're kind of in the wrong room. Happy to help. I'm not putting you off. I'm happy to take the question, right? That's my books are all not just software. They're for everybody, right? But it's a different class of investors. It's probably not a VC play. So go play golf. Go meet people at the club. I think that's your answer. All right, we got to move a little faster here. Sorry, it's already getting late here. We're going to do Pradeep's. Pradeep has been very patient here, and then I'll try to do the rest of our questions in the chat room and talk to everybody. There he is.
Hi, Scott.
Hello, nice to meet you, Pradeep.
Yeah. So
right.
I joined late, so I don't know what happened. Basically, I was working recently with for last 10 years. I'm working with the organization companies in the West.
I can't understand you. Can you turn up the volume or come closer to the microphone?
Wait. Let me check. I just put them down.
Let's see.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
That sounds about the same, but maybe it's better if you talk a little more.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah, I think so. Let's give that a shot anyway. He's playing with his settings here.
Now?
That's better. There's more background noise, but your voice is clearer.
Yeah. So basically, I'm from India.
And
from last 10 years, I'm working with the real estate brokers and the home management company on West Coast.
Okay.
So I figured out the gap between. I've worked with several SaaS companies as a UI UX designer, and they lack something. They're not complete. Do you live in a HOA, means a homeowners association or something like that? So what happened that if someone is managing self-managed HOA, they use several tools, emails, then a software to manage the invoice and other things.
Okay, I got to stop you again. What's a HOA?
It's homeowner association.
Oh, okay. In the States, we say HOA.
Yeah, I made this.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're not going to know what you're talking about if you.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. So it's a long word, homeowner association. I say. Okay, so if you are in a self-managed community, the people pay for that. It depends $200 to $800. Okay, and for management, they use different softwares. One software for the invoicing, reporting. Second is for the polling. Third is the WhatsApp or something for the messaging. And fourth is the access management software. So I prepared an app. I'm working on an app that clubbed everything with AI.
Yeah.
And just when last year fire broke out in the passive Palisade nearby areas, how many communities were prepared with the utilities and the plan to evacuation and the fire prevention? No one.
Right.
They have no idea.
Okay.
So on my app, people can set the priority. What are the priorities? Security or the amenities or the facility, whatever else. They can call, they can set the features, and then how can managers can go through that, the blueprint. Second part is the access management. That's more important part. On the gate, you can create a key, okay, and you can invite the people, or people can request access to your property or the community, and community can handle that. That where they will park, how they will park, okay, who can come, who cannot come. If somebody is, somebody is banned from the community, he cannot come. You cannot give him the key. And 75% communities are the self-managed. Only 25% communities in US are managed by the property management companies. And they charge a big amount, not a small amount, a big amount.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to save that money for the communities. Okay, I'm giving app on what is my cost and the other part. Third part is the vendors. If a community need a gardener or the curator, they can hire from the pool of my or nearby available curators or the gardeners. So services are available immediately. They don't need to go for the lengthy process of telling the community managers and then wait for their responses. If somebody is broken in my house, I can just dial up a request. It will go through the right channel. And that can be applied everywhere where people gather and pay to be part of a community. Everywhere. It's a club, it's a golf course, whatever else. If people comes there, they pay for to be part of the community, they can use this app. Because it's the billing, access management, plus facility management.
Right.
And main part is people can decide, they can poll on everything in an instance.
Okay, I think that's a couple minutes. I get the idea. That's a great idea. Nobody's doing that?
I found that there are 10 apps for that. No one is complete, no one is perfect. I found the gap.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, that's a big market for sure. So interesting. It makes sense. Yeah, I own some real estate, and that's always a pain in the ass.
So basically, I had some early traction. I talked to several, committees, homeowner association, and they replied that if you have this app, we'll be the early adopters as a beta testers. Okay, I want to set the pricing. I don't know. I never discussed that. Never planned that. What is the pricing? But I want to keep it minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, and pay as you go.
Yeah.
It's pay as you go. Not that you pay a subscription, minimum subscription, then you charge the according to their uses. If you are not living in your flat for 2 months, it's empty, then price will be lower, very lower. And if there's a tenant with a big family, then price will be a little higher.
Right.
That the society can handle.
How far along are you with this? If you
70% MVP is ready. 50 communities already backed up for the beta tester. I want to give them for 6 month free trial. Then it will be chargeable.
Okay, good.
And I'm targeting California first because I know the market better.
Right. All right. Where are you though?
I'm from the India, but I work mainly in the LA and mostly with realtors in the Beverly Hills and Tustin and Orange County.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, well, so my feedback would be there's a specific format that startup pitches usually use. I don't know if you know that or not. Your delivery is kind of casual and friendly, and that's fine, honestly. Most people do like what you saw the other guys do, more like problem, solution, market size, chop. Either one can work. So this is a little more casual. The big thing I would say is for American ears, you need to talk much slower because the accent is just, I know you're in India, you don't have an accent. To us, you do. And if you're pitching Americans, you got to go much slower. And of course, HOAs, I never knew what a HOA was. So you got to be careful about differences in the language.
I plan to hire a communication assistant, is something who can talk in place of me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the other thing that I liked a lot was you kind of broke it into modules of like the vendors and the servicers, and that made sense, like in terms of the different market segments that this would integrate all together, right? As a concept, that's clever, and it seems like something.
The target is that declutter the phone. You should not have so many apps for the same work. You should have one app that should work everything.
Yeah, it's a classic integration opportunity, isn't it? Yeah, I think you're onto something there. That's great. Any suggestions in the chat room for our friend Pradeep? Sounds with his homeowners association integration opportunity, sounds like a good one. And there'd be lots of what's interesting about this for those who are listening to him. It's obvious there's money here, right? Because real estate, there's money. homeowners associations, if you don't know, anybody that's listening, we pay every month to the group, and then the money is run by a local board of the residents, but there's usually a property management company. So there's these layers of bureaucracy that are essentially, it's kind of like a mini government, and it's always a mess. Like they're suing each other and complaining about the trees, and it's constantly a mess. And the software is very outdated. So I think he's onto an opportunity there. Of course, the devil's in the details. So if you do this again, I'd suggest compressing the features and a little more about like the specifics of how you'd make money. But it sounds like you're about to get into some trials with people that would lend to some traction, which would be great to hear. Good stuff. That's exciting. Well, please join the Startup Council and get on our newsletters and stuff if we can help. Lots of stuff there. I hope that was helpful to you. And there's some questions coming in for you. Hope to see you again. I'm going to let you go so we can keep moving here and wrap up the show. Rishi says, how would it be different from MyGate app? So you could figure that out. Take a look, Pradeep. I don't know about MyGate. And then let's see. Let's try to roll through the chat room here, and I will address you. Yeah, and then Rishi's, I got another good one there. What's stopping MyGate from doing what you are doing? That's a great point. So this is kind of the why now, why me kind of stuff, but competition, right? We haven't talked at all tonight about competition because most of you are at the early stages, but believe me, investors are thinking about your competition all the time, and you need to be ready to address that, right? So, okay, so I'm going to roll through the chat room here and see what we can do. Let's see, we did Aaron. Okay, Ruby. So if Ruby is still here, I'm going to talk to this. So Ruby says, when it comes to Pradeep, you cannot reply in this chat room. You can reply in the public chat room. So you're backstage, but if you go over to YouTube or LinkedIn, you can post there, and you could post, if you're looking for help or investors or your URL or anything you want. And that's true for you, Omid, as well. If you want to post stuff over in the public markets, a public chat room, thinking about markets. Actually, Omid, I will answer your question next. Let me do Ruby's here. Ruby says, when it comes to advisors and board of directors, as a startup, what is best to focus on when growing the team when it comes for professional guidance and a stronger team? That depends a lot on the situation, Ruby. You know this. I know you know. But the advisors generally come before a board of directors. A board of directors means that you have probably raised an equity round and people have demanded seats for their money. They want oversight on you, and they are effectively your boss. The board of directors is legally the boss. Even though you're the CEO and the founder and may even own a majority of the stock, they technically are your boss. Advisors are more your friends, right? Like I do advisory work, and usually for some cash or stock or something, we have a call every now and then, or I help you make some introductions, that kind of stuff. Again, I know you know this, but I'm trying to be clear for everybody. So I guess your question, what is best to focus on? So advisors are generally first because those are people that you contact to try to fill in holes in your existing team. So for example, if you've got a really technical team and you don't know anybody in sales, you might see if you can find some advisors who are from the industry that you're targeting because they know people at your target customers, and those could be advisors. Or vice versa. If you're a non-tech person, you might want to get some advisors who are very techy so they can help you develop or evaluate the services that you're using to build the tech that is going to be the heart of your company, assuming it's a tech company, obviously. So that's kind of the vibe for advisors. And then board of directors, like I said, those tend to be kind of thrust upon you. When people put in money, they want board rights. They want to be able to vote on strategic decisions for the company. So those you may not have as much choice on. Generally, as a founder, you might have yourself and a friend or a relative or your co-founder or something, but then you'll quickly get additional board members who were not necessarily your choice directly. They were your choice in the sense that that's who you chose to take money from, and they get a representation, a vote on the board of directors. So I hope that's helpful. It's a good question. Ruby's company must be growing. That's always a good sign. All right, so let's great pitch at the beginning. Okay, that was some feedback. Yeah, did that. Okay, so a bunch of these questions I'm just scrolling back through, and all of you, again, you can see this stuff if you want later. You can watch the replay, and then you can watch it faster if I'm talking too slow. I've never been accused of talking too slow, actually, but if you want to revisit some of the topics, you can certainly do that. You can over on YouTube or comment later if you have follow-up questions and so forth. So, okay, going through these chats. Okay, studying. Yep, these are good advice you guys are giving each other. Okay, Jagadish is offering to help people. If a non-US startup, okay, let's see this. This sounds like a complex one. Sarah Shanava, I don't know where you're from, Sarah. If a non-US startup has strong traction in international markets, does that traction still carry weight with US investors? Yes. Expanding into the US requires certifications and regulatory approvals, which means additional investment is needed. Yes. So how should one position this when pitching to investors? How do you frame international traction as a compelling foundation for entering the US market? This is a great question. Congratulations, Sarah, on your progress, because obviously you are looking at expanding outside of your home market into the United States. That's a big step. Congrats, things are going well for Sarah. So good stuff. So American investors do appreciate that. Absolutely. Traction is traction. The biggest difficulty for founders to demonstrate these days, as I keep saying, is customer validation. And secondary to that, perhaps even more these days, is distribution. And the combination of those means that you are growing because more people are buying your stuff. And that's what we're looking for. Growth, momentum, that's our goal. So expanding in the US does take a bunch of money. So how do you position that? So first of all, you should be clear, everybody, US angel investors don't invest in foreign companies. We just don't. It's not because I don't want to. I travel all the time. Like I said, I was in Bangalore last month, and I was in Australia a couple months before that. I'm interested in that, but the tax laws here in the States make it virtually impossible or useless for us. We just can't make money investing overseas. So if you're going to raise money in the States, then you need to have a U.S. corporation, and it needs to be headquartered in the state of Delaware, and it's called a C corporation. So it's a corporate format. Ask your lawyers. These are services you can do online, but you need a Delaware C corp before we will even look at it. Some big VC firms may invest if they are more sophisticated, because like they already have an office in Bangalore or Tel Aviv or Tokyo or wherever. They may be able to do this, but angels pretty much won't touch it. So once you have a U.S. Delaware C corp, then you can pitch just like you're an American company, right? So rewind the video tonight and look at my tips for finding investors that would be interested in you, and you can start pitching them. You just got to be aware that the C corp is kind of a threshold. You need to cross that, and then you need to be clear about the revenue projections and how you think your expertise is going to translate. Because as you said, there's a lot of expense. And it's probably not a good idea to suddenly, rent a big suite of offices in an expensive market and hire a bunch of people. You kind of want to do this with baby steps. In past years, I have, for example, served as an ambassador. I actually spoke on this topic exactly at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress in Melbourne, Australia last year, because one of my portfolio companies actually is based in Australia, but I invested in them because I found out that they were expanding into the US and it had opened a US subsidiary that is a Delaware C corporation. So then I invested, but then they ended up hiring me back to be an ambassador for them and helping them introduce them to customers and investors and stuff here in the States so that they could break into the US market without hiring people full time. So they started here in California, and now they're in California and Denver and expanding nationally 2 years later. But kind of baby steps is the idea. So there may be another book about this in my future as well. So it's a good question. I hope that somewhat is helpful. So Omid asks, let's see, can I get that one up there? No, hold on. Omid says, what type of companies do I invest in? Okay, so this is a fair question, but it is not, there we go. What kind of companies do I invest in? I invest mostly in software, scalable business-to-business sort of products, generally speaking. But honestly, that's not as relevant anymore because I have done, like I said, 30, it might be 40 now, different individual angel investments, and I don't do them anymore. It just takes too much work. So I actually am a limited partner in a number of other funds and groups, and I tend to put money into the funds, and then the group invests, right? So I don't actually do direct investing very often anymore. So that's the answer. Sorry. but just to be clear, I'm not pitching any of you. I'm not looking to invest in any of you. I'm honestly just trying to help you find investors. But that being said, let me hold on. That's not a fair answer. Let me give you, there's a page on scottfox.com that talks about the different groups that I work with. Let me find it. There it is. Okay. Sorry. This is a better answer. What this page says is, sorry, I don't invest directly, but here are links to some of the groups that I work with, and it gives criteria for what they are looking for. So you're all welcome to check out that page. And it includes like Tech Coast Angels, which I mentioned, the Thai Angels, which I also mentioned, Expert Dojo is another group that I'm an investor in. There's some recommendations about crowdfunding platforms like WeFunder and Start Engine, where I also have invested. So if that link is helpful to you, it might point you at least in some right directions. And in general, I do these shows at least once a month, and those are designed. This is designed to help you find more opportunities like that. Okay, so we've got a few more here. Nicole, we'll give Nicole a little sunlight here. She's an AI engineer building an AI phone agent for dispensaries. My goal is, of course, to get investment on board my first 10 dispensaries. Okay, that's a great goal. That's a tactical goal. I applaud you. That's specific, right? When investors hear, I'm going to take over the world and it's going to be $1 billion, and if we only get 1% of $1 billion, we're like, okay, whatever. I like this approach much better. You're doing something unique. AI phone agents, okay, in a specific market, dispensaries, and I'm focused on adoption, which means validation and customer outreach. That's good. And your goal is to find 10 of them. Good for you, Nicole. That's the right idea. Like bite size, step by step, and you can demonstrate that traction that people meaning investors would be excited about. Yuvraj says, what are some commonalities for cold outreach pitches that you thought were great? Cold outreach pitches do work. It's all about targeting. It's about the research I was talking about earlier. So a cold outreach should be short, it should be specific, and it should be friendly, and it should say something that interests me. What does that mean? Well, it means not sending the same exact email to 100 or 1,000 different investors. You got to do the work, guys. You got to find and say something like, at least like, I see you invested in this. We're kind of like that. And we're growing by this much a month and expect to soon have $1 zillion in revenue. We're raising this much on these kind of terms. Would love to talk to you if this fits your investment thesis. That's kind of it. And you can attach a deck or a link or a video or all those things. And you just got to get to the point. Otherwise, I don't have time. Nobody does. To read, your big story, your problem, solution, your life story, it's all lovely stuff, but you got to get the first meeting and get the second meeting before you can unpack all that stuff. So just get to the point and see if you can qualify us. And the other thing to say is, P.S., if this isn't a fit for you, do you know anybody that it might interest? Ask, right? Do you know anybody else? Because we all know a lot of people. And if you do that, I might pause and think, oh yeah, that woman, Sharon does this kind of thing, maybe I'll forward this to her. And you might not ever even know about it, right? I probably won't tell you contact Sharon because Sharon, I don't want to invade my friend Sharon's privacy, but I might just forward it to her, right? And that would be a recommended tip. All right. Yuvraj is back with another one. How do I apply, ask for money, get advice, ask for advice, get money? Yeah, exactly right. Sorry, I'm just writing that one down. Okay. So well, you said it. If you ask for money right away, you're probably not going to get it. It's going to take a few, you got to date a few times before you get married. So yeah, try asking for advice. But don't ask, like I get these all the time. Are you free for a chat? No. I'm never free for a chat. You think I got nothing else going on? I'm busy. So that's why I do this, so I can talk to a bunch of you at once. I hope it's helpful. But no, I'm not free for a chat. But you say something like, hello, Mrs. PhD, I see, you're a noted expert in AI. I'm working on this interesting thing in agentic AI. I wondered if you know about this, or maybe here's a helpful research article that I thought we would both find interesting. Like, offer to help is even better than asking for advice, right? Because then you're doing them a favor. That's even better. But I would be specific and customize it. All right, I'm going to move a little faster here because it's getting late. Okay. So this, Shigo 86, Sean, this is Sean, right? You emailed, right? I saw your email. We didn't get to it, so thank you for posting this. Quick one. How much do business valuation appraisals cost? How do you find a law firm that does them? And what documentation is needed for the appraisal? All right, let's take those in reverse order. Documentation that is needed, everything. Everything you've got. Presumably you're early stage enough, but specifically everything related to money. So customer contracts, financials, your bookkeeping receipts, pay stubs, contractor agreements, intellectual property agreements, anything that affects the money. So the more the better. How do you find a law firm that does them? I don't think you do. This is why I noticed you emailed, because law firms, this isn't a law firm thing. This is usually an accounting firm thing. So if you need help, there's a thing called a 409A valuation. That's a section of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code, 409A. And that is an official product of a lot of accounting firms. They will conduct a 409A valuation on your company. If you want referrals for that, you can contact me through the Startup Council website, and we can introduce you to some of our sponsors who are very qualified at this sort of thing. How much do business valuation appraisals cost? A lot, more than you want to pay. Generally speaking, the bigger, fancier the firm, the more research they do and the higher priced their people are. So it would cost thousands of dollars probably. If you just want something quick and dirty, it's going to be much cheaper, but probably not very well respected. So don't have a great answer for that, but I hope maybe that points you in the right direction. There are certainly firms that we work with that do 409As, and I could put you in touch with those if you contact us through one of the Startup Council websites contact form, and ask for, send some details of what your question is, and I can forward it on to some people. All right. Do I have a preferred medium for someone to get in contact? I just said that. It's the contact forms on our website. If you really want to do this sort of thing with me personally, I have to charge for the time. I apologize. I just not enough hours in the day. That's why I do these group things. But there is a page here, Work with Scott, and you can, I do video reviews of your pitch deck. We can have private calls if you want. They're $500 an hour, which is mostly just to make sure you're serious, and money back guarantee if you want. That's fine. But Work with Scott, happy to do that. I only have limited room in my schedule for these, but sometimes they do advance to a point where I become an advisor to a company or even invest in the company. But you can read there more details about that. All right, and wow, it's almost 10:30. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. So what else? Guidance on setting up. Guidance setting up child healthcare company in Dubai, looking to put the business in UAE. That's a great question. Deep connection. I have to be honest, I don't know. I'm a licensed attorney in the United States, although this is not legal advice. But I really don't know what the business regime in those jurisdictions are. You'd have to talk to somebody in Dubai. I'd happy to help you in the States, but I don't know in Dubai. I was in Dubai in December, but I didn't get a law degree there. Okay, Ji Huang Chen says we launched our app requires some initial use. We'll continue growing on our own for a bit, but then we could accelerate. In your experience, should we focus on growing? Oops, what's that? Sorry, I'm trying to see the rest of this. Focus on growing, or is it better start fundraising now? The answer is 110% now. Now. Not because you need the money, but because it takes time to develop the relationships that lead to money. So if you think you're ever going to raise money, and this is true for everybody listening, if you are ever going to raise money, start going to events where investors hang out now. Be friendly, make friends, build relationships. And then when you see them again next month, tell them a little more about your company. And another month after that, or 2 months later, hey, good to see you again. Tell them a little more about your company. That's how you get people interested. It's not with cold emails, right? I mean, it can work if you do a lot of targeting like I talked about, but now is the time to start fundraising. If you're ever going to fundraise, start yesterday. Okay. Okay, I think we're going to have to wrap up here. Is there a place to list all of those events? Why, yes, Omid, there is. In Orange County, you can go to the Orange County Startup Council. We have the only calendar of all the events for startups in Orange County. And sorry, people are asking more about this. Where'd that one go? This one. Or actually, let me be more specific here. These are specific services. If you want me to review your deck, I'll do a video and share a video of me walking through your presentation deck. These are really valuable, honestly, to get an investor's perspective. And if you want to talk to me directly, that's each of those has its own website, as you can see. So yeah, sorry, Omid, ocStartupCouncil.org. And then there's also a site at startupcouncil.org. We are going to relaunch that and it will be showing up soon. It's the short answer. There's a site at startupevents.org, but we're going to consolidate that into the startupcouncil.org site. So everybody go to startupcouncil.org and join all the email lists, right? So please like and share and subscribe if you had a good time. Thank you all for sticking with me. It's been fun talking to you and meeting a bunch of you. I'll be here again next month. People asked, yes, we do this once a month. And once I get my next book finished, I'll do it more often. I'm happy to help you guys. But this is a free service. So please like and subscribe, tell your friends. We'd like to help more people because this advice is really applies to a lot of people who don't know it. And I know a lot of you are brilliant and you didn't get to go to Stanford like I did. So I'm here to help, the benefits of my experience and my expertise. And I hope that it's helpful to you and look forward to seeing you next time. And go to startupcouncil.org. Deep connection, go to the Startup Council website. There's a lot of things there. Yes. Okay. All right. So nice to see you all. Hope to see you all again soon. And like I said, go like and subscribe, and we will see you all again in a few weeks. And hope you all make some wonderful progress on your startups between now and then. Don't be shy. Be confident. Go out there, change the world. Thanks for watching.